This is news around the globe. This is news around the globe. The Redeemed Christian Church of God rounds off its 66th annual convention. Today, August 12th, is the grand finale of the Redeemed Christian Church of God annual convention with the theme Dominion. The event took place at the church's popular redemption camp, Kilometer 46, Lagos-Ibadan Expressway, Ogun State, Nigeria. This year's convention, which is its 66th, began on Monday, August 6th, with an ordination of about 11,250 deacons and deaconesses to assist the leadership of the church. The church rounded off its activities with a Thanksgiving service, ordination of pastors, and honorary elders. High Impact Television's news team captured a few highlights of the convention.
What has kept you going as a Christian, sir?
Well, it's the Word of God. I believe in every word, and I believe in what God has done. I believe in the faithfulness of His Word. I believe that it's only God that is able to do all things. And with Him, like you heard today, nothing shall be impossible. And He has given me dominion over every situation and circumstance. Even when I feel a bit low and I'm wondering what would happen, He gives another way. He makes another way, and everything goes well.
Just like the song says, when our backs were against the wall and it felt everything was over, He always makes a way. So, sir, what are your take-home points from Dominion 2018? What lessons have you learned?
Wow. To have dominion over everything, you have to be a child of God. You have to know the Word. You have to believe in Him, and He will never fail you. He has never failed. He has never lost a battle. He can never lose a battle. He is not a liar. He can never lie. He can never disappoint. So why don't you connect with the person that is dominion himself to give you dominion?
Thank you very much, sir. Congratulations once again. What dominion lessons have you learned since when you've been on camp?
Oh, that is wonderful and interesting. The most aspect of the topic that I enjoy most is under the ministers' conference team. The one that Daddy Joe took by himself about to dominate spiritually. Because one thing is that if you dominate physically, financially, but if you are not deep spiritually, you can miss, useless all the blessing. But if you are dominate spiritually and you have a sound mind in the Word of God, it will be that will help you to manage the resources that God is going to give to you.
What are your dominion take-home points from camps?
Oh, that I can dominate. And for me to dominate, I have to be connected to God. Once I'm connected to God, my dominion is assured. That's my take-home pay. Yeah.
One thing we need to know is that for us to remain in dominion, we need to remain constant in God. Because the Bible says we cannot remain in sin and grace will abound. So one of the things I need to take home is that I need to stay closer. That would be my prayer in this, that I will know Him more. I will see Him, I will hear from Him, I will move closer with Him. So I'm going to take that with me and run with that so that my dominion can be permanent.
Iran sanctions. Rouhani condemns United States psychological warfare. Iran's President Hassan Rouhani has hit out at the United States over its reinstatement of economic sanctions. He described the measures, which came into effect overnight, as psychological warfare, which aimed to sow division among Iranians. The sanctions take aim at various sectors, with further punitive action planned against Iran's oil trade. Meantime, the European Union has spoken out against the measures, vowing to protect firms doing legitimate business. The deal, negotiated during the presidency of Barack Obama, saw Iran limit its controversial nuclear activities in exchange for sanctions relief. United States President Donald Trump says the deal is one-sided, and he believes renewed economic pressure will force Iran to agree to a new deal and end its maligned activities. Nigeria, Niger, and Benin to meet over smuggling. Having identified smuggling of rice and other products as a threat to their relationship, Nigeria, Niger, and Benin are to meet on how to address the problem. The Benin Republic ambassador to Nigeria, Mrs. Paulette Yekpe, made this known in Abuja during the activities to mark the 58th independence anniversary of Benin Republic. Yekpe, who noted that smuggling of rice and other products posed a threat to the relationship between the countries, said that the proposed meeting would establish a framework to address rice smuggling. The ambassador said that although ECOWAS protocol paved way for the free movement of citizens within the sub-region, more needed to be done through regional integration to tackle rice smuggling. According to her, Nigeria and Benin have always worked together to beef up border security in the past. She therefore expressed the determination to strengthen the collaboration between the two countries to curb rice smuggling into Nigeria. She said although the date for the meeting has not been fixed, but plans were underway to organize it to bring the issue of rice smuggling to the barest minimum. She, however, urged the governments of the three countries to sensitize their citizens more about the dangers of smuggling to keep people away from such acts. Brazil closes border to Venezuelan immigrants. Judge Helder Barreto has ordered the frontier to be shut until Brazil can put in place the right conditions to receive the huge influx of people. The authorities in the state of Roraima, in Brazil's Amazon region, say some 800 Venezuelans cross the border every day. However, the border remains open to Brazilians and other non-Venezuelans. It is also open for Venezuelans who are returning north out of Brazil. Sea and air borders are unaffected by the ruling. An apparent assassination attempt on Venezuela's President Nicolás Maduro at the weekend has raised tensions in the country even further. Many thousands of Venezuelans have fled into neighboring countries, mainly Colombia and Brazil, in search of better economic conditions over the past 3 years. Roraima, in the heart of Brazil's Amazon region, is one of the country's poorest states. Most of the Venezuelans who have crossed the border in recent months are living in appalling conditions in the streets of the state capital, Boa Vista, and other cities. For months, the authorities in Roraima have been calling for the border to be shut. They say that public services have collapsed and that migration has brought about a sharp rise in crime. Kenya and Tanzania mark 20 years since United States Embassy bombings. The people of Kenya and Tanzania are marking the 20th anniversary of the attacks on the United States embassies in both countries by Al-Qaeda. More than 20 people, including 12 Americans, were killed in the explosions. The bombings were the first major attacks by Al-Qaeda against the United States and saw the FBI place its leader, Osama bin Laden, on its list of top 10 most wanted fugitives. Al-Qaeda would go on to attack the United States 3 years later, when 2 hijacked planes crashed into the World Trade Center in New York. Ivory Coast's ex-First Lady, Simone Gbagbo, granted amnesty. The jailed former First Lady of Ivory Coast, Simone Gbagbo, has been granted amnesty by President Alassane Ouattara. She is among about 800 people being pardoned. Mr. Ouattara said most have been prosecuted or sentenced for offenses connected to the violence that killed thousands of people after the elections that brought him into power in 2010. Mrs. Gbagbo was jailed for such offenses and has also been facing a new trial for crimes against humanity. Her husband, ex-President Laurent Gbagbo, is already being tried at the International Criminal Court. Saudi Arabia suspends Toronto flights. Saudi Arabia's state airline has suspended its direct flights to Toronto after Canada called for the release of detained activists for civil society and women's rights. The Middle Eastern country has also frozen all trade and expelled Canada's ambassador over the interference. Canada has responded by saying it will continue to advocate for human rights. Those held include the Saudi American human rights campaigner Samar Badawi, sister of jailed blogger Raif Badawi. Canada's Foreign Affairs Minister, Chrystia Freeland, says she was deeply concerned by the diplomat's expulsion, but added Canada will always stand up for the protection of human rights, including women's rights and freedom of expression around the world. We will never hesitate to promote these values, and we believe that this dialogue is critical to international diplomacy. Her Saudi counterpart, Adel Al-Jubeir, had earlier tweeted that Canada's position was based on misleading information, adding that anyone arrested was subject to Saudi laws that guarantee their rights. The leading Saudi women's rights campaigner, Manal al-Sharif, thanked Canada for speaking up and asked when other Western powers would do the same. California wildfire declared largest in state's history. California's wildfire, known as the Mendocino Complex Fire, has grown to become the largest active wildfire in state history, officials said on Monday. The fires have spread rapidly in recent days to burn 283,800 acres of land, an area almost the size of Los Angeles. Firefighters are tackling 16 major blazes across the state amid hot weather, strong winds, and low humidity. At least 7 people have been killed in the car fire in the state's north. Meanwhile, United States President Donald Trump has reiterated social media comments that the fire spread is being made so much worse by California's environmental laws. Local officials and experts have criticized and dismissed his tweets. More than 14,000 firefighters and hundreds of United States Army personnel are trying to contain the more than a dozen major fires burning throughout the state. National Weather Service meteorologist Brian Hurley has warned conditions are not going to immediately improve, with temperatures as high as 43 degrees Celsius being forecast for some areas. Experts say 2018 has the worst start to the fire season in 10 years, partly due to the 2012 to 2017 drought that killed off large amounts of vegetation. Boko Haram kills 7 in Borno. Boko Haram jihadists have killed 7 villagers in a dawn raid in Nigeria's restive northeast, local militia and a resident said on Tuesday. Gunmen in trucks and on motorcycles late Monday attacked Munduri, a village 13 kilometers north of Borno state capital Maiduguri, firing guns and rocket-propelled grenades, according to a resident, Abdullahi Bunu. Those who were decapitated were the village chief and his wife, Bunu said. We returned this morning and found the entire village burnt along with all our food supplies and livestock. Boko Haram has intensified its armed campaign in recent weeks, including against military targets, in which dozens of troops are believed to have been either killed or missing. The rebels have split into 2 groups, and it was not immediately clear which was behind the latest attack. A faction loyal to Abubakar Shekau is notorious for indiscriminate killings of civilians, while the Abu Mus'ab al-Barnawi faction, which is affiliated to the so-called Islamic State, largely focuses on attacking the military. 5 people were killed in a similar raid last week in Gasarwa village near the garrison town of Monguno. INEC's target date endangers 17 million prospective Nigerian voters. Stakeholders have expressed worries over the Independent National Electoral Commission's deadline of August 17th to end the Continuous Voters Registration Exercise, CVR. They told newsmen that if INEC does not reverse the deadline, over 17 million unregistered Nigerian voters stand the risk of not exercising their civic responsibility in next year's elections. In a statement in Abuja recently, National Commissioner and Chairman, Information and Voter Education Committee Solomon Soyebi said it would suspend the ongoing CVR on August 17, 2018 until after the 2019 elections. The CVR is to afford all eligible Nigerians who have attained 18 years and above but have not registered for their permanent voters' cards an opportunity to do so. Speaking, a presidential aspirant noted that the decision was undemocratic and targeted at disenfranchising Nigerians who are unaware of the deadline. People have urged INEC to extend the exercise to October ending and charged the federal government to declare a 2-day public holiday to ensure that all workers were duly registered. Over 17 million youths across the country have found it difficult to register in the past 3 months, and the truth is the exercise has not been properly organized, says the presidential aspirant. Europe vows to preserve Iran deal as United States sanctions return. Europe's top diplomats have vowed to work together to preserve a multinational nuclear deal with Iran as United States President Donald Trump signed an executive order paving the way for the return of biting sanctions against Tehran on Tuesday. In a joint statement issued on Monday, European Union Foreign Policy Chief Federica Mogherini and the foreign ministers of France, Germany and Britain said the remaining parties to the 2015 agreement will maintain effective financial channels with Iran and ensure its continued export of oil and gas. In a statement announcing the sanctions on Monday, Donald Trump said Iran threatens the United States and our allies, undermines the international financial system, and supports terrorism and militant proxies around the world. In a separate statement, the White House said the first round of sanctions will be reimposed on August 7th, followed by a second one on November 5th. President Trump will continue to stand up to the Iranian regime's aggression, and the United States will fully enforce the reimposed sanctions, it said. It warned that those who fail to abide by the United States sanctions against Iran will risk severe consequences. The White House maintained that the deal was defective at its core and failed to guarantee the safety of the United States. Jordanian security forces clash with militants. 3 members of the Jordanian security forces and 3 suspected militants have been killed during a counter-terrorism operation in the west of Jordan. The militants are believed to have been involved in a bombing in Amman, the capital, on Friday, in which a police officer died. The homemade device was planted under a police car guarding a music festival. The suspected bomber's hideout in the town of Salt, 10 miles from the capital, was surrounded by Special Forces officers late yesterday. The militants fired back, setting off explosions that led to a wing of the building collapsing. 5 other suspects have been arrested, according to a Jordanian government spokeswoman. The shootout has been the deadliest terror incident in the country for several years. A 12-year-old boy survives plane crash in Indonesia. A private aircraft owned by chartered Diamonim Air has been traveling from Tanah Merah, about 40 minutes flight south, to Oksibil in the province of Papua New Guinea when it went down. It was carrying 9 people, including 2 crew members. A young 12-year-old boy was found with the wreckage on a mountainside near the border with Papua New Guinea on Sunday morning. The Swiss-made pilotless aircraft he had been traveling in lost contact with air traffic control on Saturday afternoon, shortly before it was due to land at Oksibil Airport. Various photos from the scene show the boy conscious and looking at the camera. Zimbabwe elections. Presidential inauguration delayed. Sunday's inauguration of Zimbabwean President Emmerson Mnangagwa has been halted after a legal challenge by the opposition against the election result. MDC leader Nelson Chiamasa says he has evidence to show that he was cheated out of the 30th July presidential vote. His party says the poll was marred by mammoth theft and fraud, but the Electoral Commission insists that there was no skullduggery. Mr. Mnangagwa won 50.8% of the vote, compared with Mr. Kiamasa's 44.3%. The inauguration is no longer going ahead as planned, Justice Minister Ziyambi said, after the opposition filed the challenge on Friday. Syrian president to wipe out rebel fighters. The Assad regime's jets and artillery were readying for a battle for the rebel-held province of Idlib last night, despite Russian promises that no such action was on the cards and United Nations warnings of a potential bloodbath in an area packed with millions of refugees. Civilians living in the last rebel stronghold in Syria, on the Turkish border, said that they had endured heavy airstrikes and shelling, a day after regime helicopters dropped leaflets urging rebel fighters to surrender. At least 22 people were reported killed last night, including 8 in Idlib province and 14 in the rural Aleppo, according to monitors. The regime has also been trying to recruit more troops, including among refugees in Germany, as well as conscripting former rebels who have surrendered. Passenger plane stolen and crashes on island near Seattle airport. A 29-year-old airline mechanic stole an empty plane from the Seattle-Tacoma International Airport and flew it for an hour with military jets pursuing him before crashing in a wooded area 40 miles away. The 76-seater aircraft took off without authorization Friday night, with a Horizon Air employee at the controls, airport officials tweeted. The unidentified mechanic was pronounced dead after the crash, Pierce County Sheriff Paul Pastor said. The incident was not considered terrorism, Sheriff spokesman Ed Troyer said. The mechanic was doing stunts in the air, or lack of flying skills caused him to crash into the island. The Sheriff's Department also tweeted this. Within minutes of the plane's takeoff, the military scrambled 2 F-15 jets from Portland to follow the plane. According to authorities, they pursued the aircraft before it went down on Kentron Island between Tacoma and Olympia. According to the sheriff's office, pilots kept plane out of harm's way and people on ground safe. It said the jets were not involved in the crash. Indonesian earthquake. Death toll in Lombok quake crosses 380. The death toll in an earthquake on the Indonesian island of Lombok rose to 387, authorities have said today. It added that hundreds of thousands of displaced people were still short of clean water, food, and medicine after a series of quakes hit Indonesia. The 6.9 magnitude quake, which occurred last week Sunday, leveled tens of thousands of homes and mosques across Lombok, a week after another tremor surged through Lombok, killing 17. The National Disaster Agency spokesman, Sutopo Purwo Nugroho, said the death toll is likely to continue growing. Tens of thousands attend anti-government rallies in Romania. Romanian police fired tear gas and water cannons to disperse protesters in the Romanian capital, Bucharest, as tens of thousands took to the streets to call on the country's government to resign. Friday's rally was attended by many expatriates who returned to Romania to express their anger over what they say is entrenched high-level corruption, low wages, and attempts by the ruling Social Democrat Party to weaken the judiciary. Thousands of people also joined demonstrations in other Romanian cities, including Cluj in the northwest, Central Sibiu, and Timisoara in the west. In Bucharest, the crowd chanted "Resign" and "Thieves" as they assembled in a central square outside the main government building. Brazil's murder tally soars to record highs. The number of people murdered in a single year in Brazil has hit a new high, with the South American country registering a record homicide rate of cases in 2017, according to a new report. The Brazilian Forum of Public Security on Thursday estimated that the murder rate in Brazil witnessed a 2.9% rise last year compared with 2016, with the murder rate now standing at 30.8% per 100,000 people. The yearbook data showed that many of the murders were concentrated in Brazil's poorer northeastern states. The figures included police officers killed in the line of duty. According to the think tank's annual public security report, the state of Rio Grande do Norte, in northeastern Brazil, recorded the highest murder rate in the country, with some 68 murders occurred for every 100,000 inhabitants. Acre State in the north came in second with 63 deaths for every 100,000 people, followed by the state of Ceará in the northeast with 59.1 murders for every 100,000 inhabitants. The wealthiest state of Sao Paulo had the lowest murder rate of any state, 10.7 homicides per 100,000 people. National Civil Aviation Authority of Nigeria approves license to private hangar to begin operations. An internationally licensed maintenance, repair and overhaul 7-star global hangar owned and managed by Nigerians has received operational license from the National Civil Aviation Authority (NCAA) to commence operations in Nigeria. A statement by Mr. Isaac Balami, Chief Executive Officer of 7-Star Global Hangar on Friday in Abuja, disclosed that MRO was ready to commence operations soon. Balami said that MRO, which was conceived about 6 years ago, had the capacity to handle Boeing 737 fleets. He said that the hangar would serve as stock for a comprehensive spare parts inventory marketplace for airlines in Nigeria and across the West and Central African region. Balami decried the high cost of maintenance of aircraft by airline operators in the region, adding that relief had come to the aviation sector. First all-female Special Weapons and Tactics Team begins operations in India. India's first all-female SWAT team started work on Friday, breaking a traditionally male bastion after more than a year of being put through their paces, learning to scale buildings, defuse bombs, and rescue hostages. The 36 women underwent 15 months of rigorous training in weapons handling, counter-terrorism, and Krav Maga, the military self-defense technique pioneered by Israel's security forces, to enter the Special Weapons and Tactics Team, SWAT. According to Pramod Kushwaha, a senior Delhi police official, the first all-female SWAT team will be working alongside 5 all-male commando teams in the Indian capital. The International Youth Day is commemorated on the 12th of August every year. It is a day set aside to celebrate youth all over the world and examine issues revolving around them. High Impact Television's correspondent, Peace Adeniro, brings the report.
Every 12th of August is set aside to mark the International Youth Day. The International Youth Day is an awareness day designated by the United Nations with the purpose of drawing attention to issues surrounding youth. The theme for this year's commemoration is Safe Spaces for Youth. According to the UN, youths need safe spaces where they can come together, engage in activities related to their diverse needs and interests, and participate in decision-making processes. Safe spaces such as the civic space enables youth to participate in governance. On May 31, 2018, President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, Muhammadu Buhari, assented to the Not Too Young to Run bill, which would enable the Nigerian youths to participate in governance. This action was greeted with reactions from Nigerians.
You don't just give a child governance to handle. For crying out loud, we are a nation. It's just like dropping an egg on the floor. It breaks. So if you give them the power to handle, it's not going to be easy.
You see, it's the youth that know the feelings of the followers youth. Understand? We are the youth, not those guys that are there. They are not the youth. We are the youth. We, the youth, can sanitize this country. Buhari have faith in us. That's why he signed that bill.
I think yes, youth can actually govern, because governance is not a matter of age. It's a matter of capacity. It's a matter of ability.
Nigerian youths are capable of handling a political post in Nigeria, because I'm one of the youths, and I believe we have intelligent, and capable youths in Nigeria.
Let's give them a chance. Let's give the youth a chance. They'll do something good, I believe.
In an interview with High Impact TV, the convener, Nigerian Political Summit Group, and Director General, Nigerian Intervention Movement, Sir Olawale Okuniyi, lamented that the political parties in Nigeria have not created a platform for training the younger generation as successors, thereby making it difficult for youths to acquire adequate knowledge of political affairs.
In Nigeria, you have just political parties of cash and carry, just winning elections. And that's not the essential objective or responsibility of political parties. Political parties are essentially to groom, train, recruit successfully the youth.
He advised that the constitution of the country be amended to be an inclusive democratic constitution.
It must also change by our constitution. The constitution of Nigeria must change to be an inclusive democratic constitution.
The veteran politician urged youths running for political positions to know their purpose for running.
So nothing defines our politics and political leadership in Nigeria beyond money and capital. That must stop. That must be reviewed. That must be restructured. And before we can begin to talk of youth that are really capable to take over from them. Even the ones running government now are not competent.
In his own interview with High Impact Television, lawyer and a one-time contestant for Lagos State House of Assembly, Barrister Moyo Ogunlewe, said that getting into governance as a youth is a lot deeper than just clamoring for a place in the corridors of power.
It's not just about clamoring for you should be in politics, you should be in politics. It's a lot more. There's a lot more energy to be put into it before we can say that yes, we are ready to govern. It's a lot more.
According to him, the Not Too Young to Run bill may not work for all government positions in the coming elections.
There's a lot more about Nigerian politics, which I think the Not Too Young to Run bill might not be the necessary answer to the questions.
Nigerian youths who are looking forward to holding political positions should be adequately equipped with information and resources necessary for good governance. Peace Adeniro reporting for High Impact Television.
Medical tourism, key to driving economic growth. Nigerian American Medical Foundation. The Nigerian American Medical Foundation, NAMFI, has stated that with adequate financial support and willingness of medical professionals in the diaspora to return home and contribute their quota, the health sector can yield even 4 times the revenue generated by the hotel industry for the same amount of investment. Speaking yesterday in Lagos at the 6th annual meeting of the NAMFI with the theme New Advances in Disease Diagnosis and Treatment Telemedicine, the NAMFI Vice Chairman, Dr. Adeyinka Shoroye, called for increased government focus and investment in the sector in order to drive medical tourism in the country. He also stated that the country would achieve immense economic growth through the promotion of medical tourism, adding that the NAMFI Clinic Foundation Hospital in Lagos will be unveiled by the foundation. $289 million awarded to victim of Monsanto weed killer cancer case. San Francisco jurors just ruled that the Roundup, the most popular weed killer in the world, gave a former school groundskeeper terminal cancer. He was awarded with $289 million in damages, mostly to punish the agricultural company Monsanto. Dwayne Johnson's victory on Friday could set a massive precedent for thousands of other cases claiming Monsanto's famous herbicide causes non-Hodgkin's lymphoma. Johnson's case was the first to go to trial because doctors said he was near death. And in California, dying plaintiffs can be granted expedited trials. International news media reported last year that more than 800 patients were suing Monsanto, claiming Roundup gave them cancer. Since then, hundreds more plaintiffs, including cancer patients, their spouses, or their estates, have also sued Monsanto, making similar claims. After 3 days of deliberations this week, the jury of the Superior Court of California in San Francisco awarded Johnson $250 million in punitive damages and about $39 million in compensatory damages. Kidnapper sleeps 6 days after arrest due to tramadol intake, Nigerian police. A suspected kidnapper, whose identity is yet to be confirmed by the Ondo State Police Command, was still sleeping 6 days after he was taken into police custody. The suspect was arrested by men of the command on Sunday as he and 3 other members of his gang attempted to kidnap a pharmaceutical shop owner in our town. According to the police, the 3-man gang stormed the shop with guns with the intention to kidnap the owner, but the victim raised the alarm and escaped through a back door. The police explained that the suspect tried to escape on a motorcycle but stumbled while he was trying to ride it. He reportedly snatched the motorcycle from a customer of the shop owner. The other members of the gang were said to have taken to their heels. The police stated that a 400-milligram tablet of tramadol was recovered from the pocket of the sleeping suspect, which raised the suspicion that he must have taken the drug before he went for the operation. Medical tourism, key to driving economic growth. Nigerian American Medical Foundation. The Nigerian American Medical Foundation, NAMFI, has stated that with adequate financial support and willingness of medical professionals in the diaspora to return home and contribute their quota, the health sector can yield even 4 times the revenue generated by the hotel industry for the same amount of investment. Speaking yesterday in Lagos at the 6th annual meeting of the NAMFI with the theme New Advances in Disease Diagnosis and Treatment Telemedicine, the NAMFI Vice Chairman, Dr. Adeyinka Shoroye, called for increased government focus and investment in the sector in order to drive medical tourism in the country. He also stated that the country would achieve immense economic growth through the promotion of medical tourism, adding that the NAMFI Clinic Foundation Hospital in Lagos will be unveiled by the foundation. National Universities Commission approves distance learning program for University of Nigeria, Nsukka. The National Universities Commission has approved the commencement of academic activities for the Center for Distance and E-Learning of the University of Nigeria, Nsukka, UNN. Executive Chairman of the NUC, Professor Abubakar Rashid, conveyed the approval in a July 16th letter to the Vice Chancellor of the university. Rashid said the approval is based on the validated status recommended by the panel of Open and Distance Learning (ODL) and subject matter experts and the NUC representatives that paid a pre-validation assessment visit to the proposed center from the 22nd to 25th of April 2018. The approval granted the university the authority to commence master's degree programs in 4 subject areas, namely accountancy, banking and finance, marketing and management. Nigerian federal government approves 17 billion naira technology to fuel tracking consumption. The federal government on Wednesday in Abuja approved an automated fuel system management and sensor network aimed at revealing the daily fuel consumption by tracking fuel delivery from the point of entry into the country to its final delivery in the petrol station. Briefing journalists at the end of the weekly Federal Executive Council meeting, presided over by Acting President Yemi Osinbajo in the State House, the Minister of State for Petroleum, Dr. Ibe Kachiku, said the move was an initiative of the Petroleum Equalization Fund, PEF, which was conceived to assist in revealing the exact liters of petroleum being consumed in the country every day. Ibe Kachiku also said the adoption of the PEF initiative had become imperative in view of discrepancies in figures being bandied as daily fuel consumption in the country, and consequently affecting subsidy payment and remittance to federation accounts while a huge volume of petroleum products is illegally moved out of the country. According to him, when the network becomes operative, every truck conveying fuel would be licensed with a driver and a transport company with a view to finding the transporter and the company that will take responsibility for any missing truck. The minister also said with the advent of the network, the exact daily fuel consumption in the country would be known for the first time, adding that the Nigerian National Petroleum Corporation (NNPC), Department of Petroleum Resources (DPR), and Petroleum Products Pricing Regulatory Agency (PPPRA) would collaborate effectively to achieve this aim. Nigerian tech team qualify for World Hackers Competition Finals. A group of Nigerian hackers called Niger CyberSec Force have emerged 8th in the nomination rounds of the Global Cyber Olympics, the world's hacking Olympics. The 12-hour competition had over 134 teams across the world and saw the Niger CyberSec team become the only African team in the top 10 category. Australia has the highest wins with 6 teams, while Europe has 2 wins, including first place.
On entertainment news, D'banj consoles his wife after son's death in new song. On August 8th, a renowned Nigerian musician, Dakpo Daniel Oyebanjo, popularly known as D'banj, reassured his wife, Linnea Oyebanjo, of his undying love in his first released song after the death of their son, Daniel Oyebanjo. He shared a snippet of the song in a video on his official Instagram handle with words of encouragement to his wife, saying, "Together we will pass every test that we pass through." D'banj gives his wife lifetime assurances while describing her as a gift from God in the song. The song was released few days after he shared the post on Instagram describing his family's healing process since the death of his son. According to him, his family has been experiencing hard times since his son Daniel died in June after his first birthday in a drowning incident. D'banj had stayed away from social media platforms until early July when he posted a message where he thanked everyone for their support. SME 100 celebrates young Nigerian CEOs under 25. The Small and Medium Enterprises 100 organized a 25 under 25 award ceremony which held in the city of Lagos, Nigeria. The event was set to recognize and celebrate 25 exceptional small and medium-scale entrepreneurs who have shown their worth and contributed to the economic growth of Nigeria. Executive Director and founder of the organization opened the event by explaining how the entrepreneurs were shortlisted for the award.
We had about 4,500 nominations, and what we did was we reached out to all our friends, families and folks around Nigeria, and we said to them, let us know the people that are impacting millions of lives every day and contributing to socio-economic development in Nigeria. And what happened was our server crashed. I say to every young person here who's a nominee, first of all, you're a winner tonight, but I want you to be patient with that venture or that enterprise. It might not work out today, it might not work out in the next 3 years, but eventually it's going to pay off. And it's going to pay off big time.
The nominees thanked the organizers of the event for giving them this platform and opportunity, then hope it continues to celebrate more youth in years to come. Cardi B to join Janet Jackson in supporting foreign aid. Pop legend Janet Jackson and fast-rising rapper Cardi B will headline the Global Citizen Festival in New York to rally support for preserving international aid to eradicate extreme poverty. Taking place each year since 2012 as world leaders gather in New York for the United Nations General Assembly, Global Citizen distribute tickets for free to supporters who pledge to take action such as sending letters to their government in support of development aid. Global Citizen has gradually broadened its reach with international editions and panel discussions and is planning a major festival in Johannesburg on December 2nd, led by Beyonce and Jay-Z, to mark the centennial of the birth of an anti-apartheid icon, Nelson Mandela. CEO of Global Citizen, Huff Evans, said that the festival was expected to draw more than 60,000 people and would also demand that world leaders fight to improve maternal health, end child marriage, and also reduce the use of plastics with the goal of eradicating poverty by 2030. Ras Kimono to be buried at Asaba. The burial program of late reggae legend Ras Kimono would begin on the 17th of August with a social wake-up in his Magodo residence in Lagos. Family of the reggae artist, Mr. Theophilus Heizi Boy, assures the government would fully participate in his final burial rites. He discloses that the week-long event of the late Kimono, who passed on in June this year, would culminate with his interment on August 25th at his hometown Onitsha Olona in Aniocha North local government area of Delta State. The governor of Delta State, Dr. Ifeanyi Okowa, has promised to be part of the burial arrangement and be on ground to receive Kimono's corpse along with Kimono's daughter Oge in Asaba on August 23rd. Family speaks of how Ras Kimono was a man loved by all and sundry. They also expect a thunderous crowd to grace the ceremonies as a sign of respect to the music legend. Davido ventures into aviation. Nigerian music artist David Adeleke, popularly known as Davido, about 3 months ago announced that he would buy a private jet and has now confirmed that the jet has touched down in Nigeria. With the arrival of his private jet, Davido now becomes the first Nigerian entertainer to own a private jet. The music star announced that he had gotten a private jet on his Twitter and Instagram pages. Davido is set to become not just one of the biggest music stars from this part of the world, but also a business mogul. He's not only known for his hit songs these days, as he is now expanding his music business empire with the acquisition of a private jet and plans to venture into movies production. And that's it on Entertainment News. I am Wiraola Ukwola.
And now, High Impact Television Sports News by Daniel Ose.
This is the sports news segment. In the world of sports, Manchester United registered a good start in the EPL opening match over Leicester. The Red Devils got their 2018-2019 campaign off to a winning start on Friday when seeing off Leicester City 2-1 at Old Trafford. Jose Mourinho's men are now up and running, with Paul Pogba and Luke Shaw getting the goals to offer early positivity on the back of a testing summer on and off the field. The future definitely looks bright for the Old Trafford boys as they top the English Premier League table, but fingers are still crossed over an early win. Ronaldo gets €2 million tax rebate in Spain. Spanish authorities have reduced by €2 million the tax liability of football superstar Cristiano Ronaldo, the El Mundo Daily has reported. According to El Mundo, which had access to the document of the settlement, tax authorities realized he paid €2 million too much last year for image rights he sold in 2014. That means he only has to pay €16.7 million as against the €18.8 million ordered by the court to settle a tax fraud claim. Spain's taxmen and Ronaldo's advisors made the deal to settle claims the 33-year-old, who has since moved to Italy's Juventus, hid income generated from image rights while he was playing for Real Madrid. The agreement also includes a 2-year jail sentence, which he won't serve. Sentences of up to 2 years are generally not enforced in Spain for first-time offenders in non-violent crimes. NFF panel releases amended electoral timetable. Candidates for the 2018 Nigerian Football Federation NFF elections now have a new grace period to buy and submit their forms for the polls billed for September 20. The NFF Electoral Committee yesterday rolled out a new timetable for the elections, which gives intending candidates a fresh grace period, August 17 and August 24, to complete their registration for the exercise. According to the Electoral Committee, screening of candidates will now be done between August 27 and 29, with names of candidates to be published on August 30. Protests and appeals will be heard and treated between September 4 and 6, after same must have been submitted between August 31 and September 3. Publication of final list of candidates will be done on September 7th. The elections into various positions in the NFF board for the 2018 to 2022 period will hold on September 20. A statement by the Electoral Committee said it has adopted the adjustments in the timetable as part of the resolutions of the NFF Extraordinary General Assembly held in Benin City on August 2. Pogba still happy at United, Mourinho. Following a successful summer in which he helped France to win the World Cup, Paul Pogba's future at United has been the subject of speculations over the last week of the Premier League transfer window. Jose Mourinho insists Paul Pogba remains happy and motivated at Manchester United, despite reports claiming the France star is unsettled and wants to join Barcelona. It is understood that United officials have grown increasingly wary and suspicious of Pogba's high-profile agent, Mino Raiola, who they blame for stories that his client would prefer to play for Barcelona. Thibaut Courtois sold to Real Madrid. Chelsea has confirmed they have reached an agreement with Real Madrid for the transfer of Thibaut Courtois. Courtois will sign a 6-year contract at the Bernabeu, subject to agreeing personal terms and passing a medical. Croatian international Mateo Kovacic will join the Blues on a season-long loan as part of the deal. Chelsea signs Mateo Kovacic on loan from Real Madrid. Chelsea have completed the signing of Mateo Kovacic from Real Madrid on a season-long loan. 24-year-old moves to London as part of the deal that takes Thibaut Courtois to Real Madrid. The Croatian international leaves the Spanish capital after 3 years at the club following his move from Inter Milan in 2015. Kovacic made just 17 appearances in La Liga last season and moves to the Premier League in search of regular first-team football. He also played 5 games during Croatia's run to the World Cup final this summer. Chinese tennis star banned for 6 months. China's former world #1 doubles star Peng Shuai was banned for 6 months and fined $10,000 on Wednesday for attempting to force her doubles partner to withdraw from Wimbledon in 2017, the Tennis Integrity Unit announced. Peng Shuai was found to have used coercion and offered the possibility of financial reward in return for her main draw partner agreeing to withdraw from the ladies' doubles event at Wimbledon 2017, the TIU said in a statement. Although the offer was refused and Peng Shuai did not subsequently compete at the championships, it is constituted a breach of Tennis Anti-Corruption Program (TACP). Peng's attempt to change her doubles partner came after the sign-in deadline. Peng, 32, was banned for 6 months, with 3 suspended and fined $10,000, with $5,000 suspended on the condition that she commits no further breaches of the anti-corruption code. She'll be eligible to play again on November 8th this year. The Chinese star is currently ranked 20 in doubles and 80 in singles. However, she was the #1 ranked doubles player in February 2014 and reached a career best singles ranking of 14 in August 2011. Australian golfer Gerald Lyle passes away. Tributes have been paid to the Australian golfer Gerald Lyle after he lost his battle with cancer, dying aged 36 after halting treatment for leukemia last week. The former US PGA Tour player who had children aged 6 and 2 passed away on Wednesday evening at his home outside Melbourne, surrounded by family and friends. Lyle moved into palliative care on August 1 to see out his final days, saying his body could not take any more after acute myeloid leukemia returned for the 3rd time. His plight touched people around the world, and his wife said the message of support comforted him as his life drew to a close. That's it on Sports Update. I am Daniel Ose.
This is the news, and I am Chiedu Norbert Onabo.